Are you
Yeah,
able to
it's
see my screen?
visible. Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, awesome. So this is a complete syllabus. Uh, if you're not sure about some of the terms, don't worry because initially you might not have the complete idea. But this is what we will be discussing in this course. I'm just setting the right expectation before we get started, so that we will go, in the right path. So the solution architect. So this is basically solution architect gives, but few more things I would like to tell you about the solution architect. So AWS has different certifications. AWS has developer certification, solution architect certification, SysOps certification. They have different syllabus for that. So what does it mean? These are the technical certification. You need to know the technical details of AWS for different services. Now, in this solution architect, end of this course, you will be in a position to appear for the certification, but uh, you will be prepared practically because this course is fully on hands-on, not just on the theory. Because solution architect is fully for theory. If you go and appear the exam, they will fully ask about the theoretical part of this AWS, whereas we are going to look into this course in the hands-on perspective. So end of this course, you will be able to implement all kind of scenario what you are trying to architect. But the solution architect exam, if you want to appear, you need to study few more theories of it. So end of this course, I'll share the question dump if you're looking for certification. I have few dumps which have got it from few year previous batch students who recently appeared for the exam. So they have shared all the question dumps, so I can share it. But it is on my personal interest. I'm just sharing it. Whatever I'm getting it from the previous batch student, I will share it. But you for that you need to prepare a lot on the theoretical perspective. Is what I'm trying to say. It's not that like this course gives you a complete knowledge on the topics, but to know more about the exam perspective, there are some theory as in like the different server types, what does it do, in terms of theoretical part you need to learn about few things which you will get to know end of this maybe in the question material, right? But this course, what I do usually is I will torture you because I will give you different scenarios to do some hands on, right? So you should be in a position to try out those hands-on, finish that hands-on, come back and showcase tomorrow. That's how the course is going to be. It's not just that I will just demo and keep going for the next topic. I will not do that. I will expect everyone to be on the same page. And unless you touch and do it from your AWS account, you will not, you will not do the hands-on, or you will not be habituated with the topic basically. So I want you guys to follow me on the hands-on part. All right. So that's the plan. I will start going through one by one. Meantime, I have seen two people join, Ram Babu and KK. Ram Babu, can you introduce yourself?
Hey,
Hi,
myself
Ram
Ram.
Babu.
I
Hey,
have
hi.
around
Yeah.
10 years experience in IT.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working
Awesome.
in a DB2 DBA and Oracle DBA.
Okay. Awesome.
So I'm getting a new project like we need to support AWS. So I'm planning to
Okay.
learn the AWS with we are planning to migrate so on premium to cloud with
Mm-hmm.
AWS. So I
Okay.
want to learn from basic it seems. So I need some help from you to how to
Awesome.
set up and what are the things we need to do and network side and like if you need to
Cool.
set up that try to migrate the data we will get
Mm-hmm.
some firewall issues yeah
Mm-hmm.
that kind of
Yeah.
basic things we need to learn and I want to explore more on AWS.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much, Ram Babu. I see the name KK. Can you talk, KK? Can you introduce yourself? Hey, can you hear me? KK, if you're having some trouble to unmute, you can leave a text in the chat box about your introduction. That should be fine. But please introduce yourself. Okay, let me go ahead. If you can unmute and talk, you can unmute, no problem, right? Guys, if you have any questions or doubts, stop me right away and post your question. I will help you to answer everyone. Okay. So
Yeah,
what do we start
Satish,
with? Yeah.
I have a question
Yes.
regarding the course. Actually, you just mentioned that this will be more like hands-on and rather than theory. See,
Yes.
I have I my goal is to do solution architect certification. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
first this thing I have
Mm-hmm.
to do, and
Mm-hmm.
with when you're mentioning that it's hands-on and we have to do
Mm-hmm.
theory by ourselves, so it means that will you be telling us about the topics basics,
Yes,
or
I
we
will.
will
I
go
will
into
give
the
you the
lab?
complete, not just basics, the complete detail about the topic. I will give you. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying is, inside the topic, there are some things which will be asked in the exam about few theories, which is something that we will talk about the hands-on of that. But let's say the server type. Say, for example, we will be knowing how what are the different types of servers are available in AWS, and how do we provision it. All the hands-on part we will cover it. But that server, which type of capacity, which type of processor, everything we will just talk in the kind of discussion. But you need to remember which type of processor has which type of the capacity and things like the units, something like that, that you have to study on the theoretical part. So and the hands-on, you will get to know just selecting it and how do we use it, and this is used for this, and you will be using this. But there will be like 150 or 100 types of instance types we will have it for each and
Even
everything.
in the
You
exam,
Mhm.
yeah, even in
Even
the
in the
exam,
exam.
they have like case-based scenarios they given the
Exactly. So
questions.
those scenarios we will
So,
see here. So scenario
uh,
based, what for that you need a hands-on. For that you
hmm,
definitely need a hands-on. Let's say for the scenario, whether we can implement the scenario or not, you need a hands-on to tell you that if it's possible or not. But in that scenario, some questions may be like there is a scenario where you have to choose processor A or processor B. So for that you need to study about the processors. So we will talk
hmm.
about the processor, but detailly on the different types of processor type you need to study about it. So few theory parts we will not cover as in like we will talk in the hands-on perspective, not on the theoretical perspective. But for your exam perspective, you definitely need the hands-on. Without that, if you go and appear, you will have to blindly select some options, because how AWS Solution Architect exam will be like, four answers you will get. Four answers will be like, this is the best solution, good solution, or a bad solution. So what will you choose? You have to choose the best, obviously, as an answer, right? So how will you compare that? That's going to be a best answer. That is going to come only when you do the hands-on and only when you implement some scenarios, right? So for that, we will see completely on the implementation part here. Are you able to understand? Kind of.
Yes, yes, yes. It was helpful.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the question. Yeah, it will be there in mind, everyone. So what I suggest, for during the course, right? I suggest focus on the hands-on, the topics, whatever we are discussing. End of the course, whatever the things I'm sharing, have kind of time. Take some time, maybe 1 week or time to prepare yourself. Then appear for some kind of online tests. I will suggest you some online tests if you're appearing for exam. Then take the test. If you are able to clear at least 90 percentage of the score, then you can appear for your exam, because those tests will be little complicated when you come to a solution architect. So you have to appear in the exam only after your preparation. All right. I will suggest all the things like when you need for your exam perspective. All right. Okay. So in the cloud computing, we talk about the cloud computing introduction. What is cloud computing? Why we need to go for cloud computing? Because we see that the cloud computing evolved in the last decade, right? And before that, what was the thing we were following? How the IT industry were following? How difficult it was when it was not used on cloud perspective. So we need to understand about the cloud computing. It is not specific to AWS, it is in the generic way. And then we talk about various deployment model, the public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. So what is deployment model? How are we going to deliver the cloud computing to the end users? right? So we need to talk about this various deployment model and different service model. These all we will cover in a class basically with the fundamentals. We will start with this as the initial class, and then we go to linux basics. We don't initially start talk about linux basic. This we will cover after the first service. We will talk about the server concept in aws. In that we will cover about the linux basic commands, whatever is needed to sustain in our aws environment. And then we talk about a very important topic on AWS. Not just important, we'll talk about all the services provided in AWS. We'll talk about how we will create our account, how do we, get all the services introduction, what is used for what. We will talk about the introduction part. This is what is being covered in your AWS Cloud Practitioner. What is AWS Cloud Practitioner is just the introduction about each and every services. Why do you need to use database services as RDS? Why do you need to use email services as SES? So you will understand what are the services available, but not all 100%, because why, I'll tell you. There are 200 plus services given by provided by AWS basically. All these services used for different purpose with different industries, the technology specific services. Let's say you are a machine learning engineer. The machine learning engineer would need machine learning services to implement their algorithms and to run on cloud. So AWS provides some of the machine learning services. AWS provides some analytics services. AWS provides a platform to develop your AR VR applications. So different sort of SaaS services, SaaS as in software as service. You don't, if you don't understand, don't worry. So the various services have been provided by AWS, but we need to understand what are we going to focus in this course. We are not going to focus all the services in this course, but whatever is needed for the infrastructure as a solution architect, we need to focus on this. All right. And then we talk about the introduction. How do we get the subscription, and how do we get into the console? How do we interact with AWS? We will talk about. Then we will talk about our topic basically. So we talk about EC2. There are various services provided in AWS. That services starts with E, EC2, EBS. Why it is E? It is E as in the elasticity. So elastic compute cloud, elastic block storage, elastic file system. So what is elastic? Elasticity is a property of cloud where that will help you to extend or reduce the resource whenever you are in need, right? Now this EC2 essential gives you an introduction about the server management. How are you going to provision the server in your Amazon environment? Or what is needed, what are the various requirement, what is the image, what is the RAM, what is storage, what is a firewall. All these settings we will talk about. And we talk about how we will integrate our IP address, the network, something related to your a server management completely we will talk about in this EC2. What we will do in the real time, we will try to provision a server, and we'll try to bring up some web servers, right, in this EC2, and we practice some of the Linux commands in this server. So we will have to see about how do you provision a Windows server and Linux server, right? So will practice this Linux server with all our Linux commands, right? And the next topic is the EBS. EBS is Elastic Block Storage, which is basically a storage concept of AWS. So when you're buying a server, right? Let's say you're buying a laptop or a server, whatever you're buying. Will you buy it without a hard disk? No, right? You cannot, because you cannot use it. So you need to buy along with your hard disk. Similarly, when you are buying this EC2 server, you need to buy along with the EBS. So you need to understand what is EBS then. So we will talk about EBS, which is like how we will create the volume, how we will, add the volumes into our server. What are the various volumes? How do we calculate the performance and provision? How do we detach? How do we attach? How do we take a backup of it? So all these topics we will see in this EBS volumes. And then we talk about elastic load balancer, ELB, which is called as elastic load balancer. What is load balancer? Load balancer is a special type of resource which will help you to balance your load. So what is balance your load? Uh, let's say you provision a server for your e-commerce application, let's say Flipkart or Amazon or Walmart, any kind of application, the the customers, a lot of customers will be coming and using it. I want to make the server always available, which is called as high availability. Then how can we provision with the server with the high availability, which means we will not provision only one server, we will not rely on one server to deploy our Walmart application. We will provision multiple servers to make it highly available. How we can leverage multiple servers for one application? So whenever you access that application, all the user requests should be equally distributed to all the servers. So for that we will talk about this elastic load balancer setup. So it's a special type of resource. We will see how do we provision it, how do we provision it with the different type of scenarios, and we'll talk about more about this elastic load balancer on the little bit more on the topic wise. So this is basically repeating, guys. This is not even character. Basically, custom domains, cross zone load balancing, connection training. This is basically repeating, right? DNS failover, this and this. I need to enable it for editing. So looks like it is little bigger topic, but it's actually not. I will remove this. Right? Yeah. So these are the things we will talk about in this, and then we go for auto scaling. So what do you mean by auto scaling? So scaling is one of the property we can see in our cloud computing, not just in AWS. You can see in all the cloud computing. There is a concept called as auto scaling. What is auto scaling? Automatically, we need to scale up. What is scaling? Increasing or decreasing the resource depends on the resource need. For example, you're using one server. Say, we'll take the same example for the Walmart example, right? Walmart, we have provisioned three servers and we deployed Walmart application in all the servers. Now, tomorrow, Walmart is opening a sale, year-end sale. Now, a lot of customers may come and visit our website. At that time, we cannot provision a new server and set up it manually. What we need to do is we need to leave it to Amazon. Hey, if there are more user requests comes, you automatically increase the number of servers. So increase it to, I mean, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up to 20 or up to 30. You can define a rule saying that whenever there is a user load, you automatically increase. Whenever there is no load, automatically decrease. So those kind of automation, you will be doing it with this auto scaling, right? And then we talk about the storage topic. What is storage? Very important. I have spoken just now about one storage, right? If you ask me, hey Satish, you have already spoken about EBS is a volume storage. There is one more kind of storage called as object storage. So basically, there are two types of storage. Now I'll tell you the difference between Google Drive and your pen drive or hard disk, external hard disk. What is the difference? So the hard disk, whatever that you store, you need a server to connect and then you will access it. But whereas if you just store it in Google Drive, you can just access it from HTTP. You can open it from your mobile, any device which has access to HTTP. So Google Drive, whatever that you're storing is an object-based storage. You will be storing it in a cloud storage where you will just need some kind of medium to access it via HTTPS, right? Similar way in AWS, this is in Google we call it as Google Drive. In AWS we call it as S3. It is a object storage where you can store unlimited data. Unlimited as in you can store terabytes of data inside this, but just that you have to pay for whatever you are storing. So there is a concept inside that where how do you manage the storage? What is bucket? Bucket is, you can think, for now you can think like a folder. Inside that you can store the object. How do we retrieve? How do we give the permissions? All these things we will talk about in this S3. We'll talk about Glacier. Glacier is one type of storage. Basically, it is for archival storage. Say you have 5 years of company's record. You want to store it somewhere. uh, what will you do? You will just store it, but you will not access it very frequently. So Amazon is giving as a low cost storage as Glacier. You just archive and store it. If you're accessing it, whenever you're accessing it, maybe we will access it very rarely, right? So whenever you are accessing it, try to pay and access it. So those kind of storage. I'll take a pause right here. Folks, any questions here? Any questions? I see there is a name A. Who is that A? Can you unmute and introduce yourself? If you are able to hear me, please unmute and talk, or you can leave a text. Others, if you are not just others, for everyone, if you have any questions, a doubt, please feel free to ask, because this is the time to clarify all your doubt before you get started, because before you start your course you will have a lot of doubts basically, right? So you can get clarified. Yes, any questions?
Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
So how long is this session for
How long, as in,
today?
you mean
It's just the
today?
overview.
1 hour. So
Okay,
we
and
we started maybe 30 minutes back, and we will be finishing in next 20 minutes. So it is just a demo session. We will have the set the right expectation, and we talk about what are we going to discuss in this course, and then we get start with the basic cloud computing concepts. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was asking your introduction.
This is Ajay, just trying to get into DevOps and see how the course looks like, how
Hmm.
hard it is, what are the requirements to get into it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So your
Your good
course
name
it
and
looks
your.
your course seems looks like more of AWS admin. So what are the difference you had from AWS admin course to architect course? Is
So
there
this is
automations or
no, this is the architecture. So basically, a solution architect, basically, you will have to understand all the services, how
yeah?
it works, about the detail of each and every service. Then you
Mm-hmm.
need to have kind of what are the different kinds of architecture you can design for your project, depends on your scenario, right? So that is what the solution architect is all about. Solution architect is with all the various services. How do you architect for your company's solution, your various industry solution, industry's problems? How will you bring the solution, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that is what we will talk about more on this.
Okay. Is there any sort of does it include automations and anything like that, or it just
No, we don't see any automation. This is purely on the solution architect and implementation of each and every services. Automation is a separate thing,
oh okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah, all right, got it.
Yeah, till now you didn't introduce yourself. I was asking multiple times.
No, this is Ajay. That's how it's
Okay, because I see your name as A.
yeah, this is Ajay. Yeah? I'm just trying to see
Okay,
how the course looks like. I was just trying to get more into automation sort of things. Do you have
okay,
anything that is included in this course, or is it a separate course on
it's a separate
um,
one. It's a separate one. So cloud automation course is a separate course where you will look about the cloud automation with Terraform and Boto 3.
yeah, yeah. So this is not included here.
This is
What
not
course it?
included here. So cloud, this is AWS Solution Architect. It is.
Oh, okay. It's not a
You have not
DevOps.
been communicated.
Okay, got it. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Now,
Okay.
one more questions here. After
Yeah.
taking your course, what we take it from here? What sort of what level of sort of
So you will be in a
expertise?
position to. implement all the solutions from AWS. Any sort of scenarios which is coming to your to you as a problem, you will be able to implement with some kind of architecture. You can suggest the architecture, tweak some architecture which is already implemented.
Mhm.
You will be able to implement practically, not just suggesting. Solution architect is just a architecting part, but here in this course, you also will be able to implement it.
Okay. Now, is your course of content that we are showing over here is more
Hmm.
sort of theoretical part, or is like there is a
It's a
real
hands-on.
demo of?
It's a hands-on.
Okay.
It's hands-on. It's on demo. So have you worked previously on the cloud and DevOps thing, cloud or at least
Um,
cloud?
just a little bit.
Sorry.
Just a little bit, not much. That's
Okay.
why I was trying to see if I can get more details into it.
Okay, so I would suggest that, I mean, it's a suggestion that, like, if you want to go for automation, you need to know on the cloud part, because I have just completed one batch on the automation. They already know about complete automation part. I mean the AWS part. Then they look for automation of those services. If you
Mhm.
directly go and automate, you will not know the insight of the service, and then what will you automate? You will think about it. So that is actually needed. So you can get suggestion from various expertise also. I'm just suggesting this is a way. You need to know about the insight of the services, then you will be able to automate. If you directly go for automation, and if you just look for automation for things like that, you will not, you will lag basically. Again, you will come back and look for what is happening in AWS, then you will again go back. And so
How long is this
that's the
course?
thing. This course goes for at least 1.5 month. Basically, every day we see 1 hour, and we go for 1.5 month at least. I'm just telling the minimum time because it depends on the people who grasp, faster, or we need some time to discuss about the problem. Something you want me to help to understand more. I can do it in that way.
And what time is the course? What time?
Timing we will discuss, because the admin people, Visualpath people will discuss with you what is the
Mhm.
timing, because that gets everyone's feasible time, and we will discuss on that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. Yep. Okay. Any questions, Sarat, Sanobar, from your end?
No, I don't have any questions of now.
All right. Thanks. I'll just proceed. Now we also have a few more services. I'll just give an introduction on the identity access management, where we will talk about the authentication and authorization. So what is authentication and authorization? How the user will get an access, how the user gets created. So what are the various type of identity access method we have in AWS? We'll talk about completely on that. This will help you to protect your AWS account from unauthorized users, right? And then we talk about VPC, which is fully on the cloud networking, how we will design the network for cloud. Why we need to design the network for cloud? Because it is something that we have to design in such a way that people from outside cannot get into our network, or at least like people inside, how they can get into one network which they should not be able to get into another network, how we will restrict at the application level. So various topic related to networking we will talk about here. And then we move to Route 53. We will see how do we buy a domain name, how do we use the hosted zone, how do we provision the hosted zone. Let's say you need to buy a domain name called walmart.com, and you need to set it up as a web application deployment. You will see here how we are going to do this, right? And then we will talk about CloudWatch. CloudWatch is all about uh, you know monitoring service, how we will monitor AWS services whenever there is a server downtime, how we will get notification. If let's say there are 1,000 servers you provision, there are 10 servers are down, which is production server, how will you get to know that the server is down? That is something you will have to set up a monitoring for that, right? And you also have SNS, which is a simple notification service about how we will be notified, right? How we will get the notification is what we'll talk about. And then we talk about SQS, simple queuing service. It is basically messaging services. Now you won't understand much about this, but when we talk about the scenario in the class, you will understand how it is going to work. Elastic Beanstalk is basically a platform as a service where you get an application platform. Let's say you are a Python developer. You don't know about the complete insight of AWS. I just want to deploy my application. So you get a Elastic Beanstalk as a platform as a service. And then we talk about RDS, CloudFront. So what is RDS is database service. What is database service? So when you're a database administrator and you want to provision some databases inside your AWS, how are you going to provision the database server? Then you can ask me different. See, Satish, already you told about EC2, you're going to provision the server. Then what is this database server? So EC2 is a plain server. RDS is pre-provisioned database server. You get a ready-made machine, which is your kind of a ready machine where you can get started with your database application. For that, you have a lot of features available in AWS. You need to understand about each and everything here. That is on the RDS. And then we talk about CloudFront. What is CloudFront is basically how do we distribute the content and deliver across the world. Say, for example, you have Hotstar. There is a video you're playing from US, and the same time the video is being playing from India. So you both will get the same content at the same time without any delay, right? Irrespective of where the video is uploaded. Let's say the video is uploaded in US. The people in US can easily see, but there will be a delay if the people from India is trying to access, which is in US. How we can distribute the content across the world so that the end user will not have any delay to access it. That is the concept of this CloudFront. And then we talk about elastic cache. This is for the elastic cache is mainly for speed up your memories. It is mainly for your memory based optimization. We'll talk about how do we create a Redis cluster for the elastic cache, and how do we configure it. We talk about the fundamental of the cloud formation, the very basic structure we will talk about, but it is similar, like if you come to know all the structure, there is a builder in AWS. You can easily build your code, and we talk about various use cases. How are we going to do in this particular course? So this is all about this syllabus. In down, we just have just a detail about what are we going to see in this particular. Same thing about whatever we have discussed. So any questions or doubt in this so far? So what are we going to start is we're going to start about the cloud fundamentals from the next class. We'll see how we will. Uh, yeah. Any questions or doubt? Sanobar, Ajay, for now. Uh, any questions or doubt? Do you guys?
No.
Okay, for now. So in the next class, we'll start about the cloud computing introduction. We'll continue on the topic wise. I see few people have left, but that's okay. We'll continue our things.